Welcome to Combat Vet Vision. This is a platform for our combat vets, veterans, sponsor supporters, volunteers to be able to get on here and talk about their issues, the things that they want to talk about, as well as programs, situations, pathways that they're on, their stories, situations that are coming up, great opportunities that are out there, hope, dreams, chaos, whatever it might be. It's great time. And my guest today is T-Bone. He's a great guy, musician, and he's coming on American Patriot Music Foundation or Project, American Patriot Music Project. And he's been around for a long time. He's been part of Warrior Build, doing some things. He's done some guitar builds with Warrior Build, doing some great things. And it's great to have him. So Tony Villegas, hey, thanks for being on the show, brother.
How you doing?
Thanks for hanging out. United States Army vet.
Right.
Hey. Hey, it's great to have you on the show. Great to have you hanging around. We're going to get ready to do a project together here in April, and we'll get into that. But love to hear your story and why you're still doing it, man. Why are we still going down this pathway of helping veterans and doing some incredible things, brother?
Well, we 2012, a Navy SEAL veteran, Darren Isham, you've met him, you know him personally.
Yes.
And a couple other Navy SEALs, after getting out of the service, retiring, they felt the VA needed some help, along with whatever problems they were going through. And I think, if I remember correctly, Darren saw his commander get lost his life in Iraq, did he? I think he might have told you about that. But they started this foundation. It was called the Phoenix Patriot Foundation, and it was a nationwide foundation. They were doing things East Coast, West Coast. In fact, I just missed working with Gloria Stefan by when I came in. But they were primarily. Sorry about that. I forgot about this thing right here. Anyway,
Yep.
they primarily would just have anything from helping a veteran that might need some help around the house to just anything to do with veterans. One of the biggest projects was something. It was uh, a combat assignment to severely wounded PTI and PTSD veterans. They would put them on a sea-doo and give them a 400-mile trek to do in the ocean. East Coast, West Coast, they alternated. And, of course, stopping off at the points along the way and just supporting them, giving them a way to really get out what it is that they were holding on to. Um, he started a band called the Phoenix Patriot Band. And at the time that we met, um, rather, it was here in California. At the time that we met, I had lost my wife to cancer, and I was just getting myself back into just getting back into life, if you will. And I was looking for a band. I'd been doing just small duos and trios, and I've been a musician all my life since '67 was my first gig. Semi-pro, never really went pro. So I started looking around for a band, and I discovered this band called the Phoenix Patriot Band. Gave him a call, and Darren and I just clicked. He's a veteran. I'm a veteran. We just clicked automatically, and came in and tried out for the band and made it. I came in as a rhythm guitar player, which I'm not. So I really had to really focus. Believe me, it's a tough gig because I'm a sax player and a lead vocalist. And the band we joined. It was local here in Southern California. A really good band. And as a result of me joining the band, I wanted to become a part-time worker in the office that we opened up headquarters here in Southern California for Phoenix Patriot Foundation. And because of the band, we started getting a lot of music-centric type of requests. Do you guys donate guitars? Do you guys do any performances for veterans events and on and on and on? And that started to grow. 2017, We were actually nominated for Rock Song of the Year with the American Music Awards because of a song that Darren had written with some partners from throughout the country. Actually, we had a chance to do the whiskey. We did the red carpet and the whole thing, and we actually got a chance to tour. And that was my first real experience at touring with the band, all the way to Miami, Daytona, Nashville, uh, and again because of the band, all these opportunities. We had an opportunity to work with a lot of veterans along the way, a lot of police organizations, and Darren being a Navy SEAL veteran, he had a lot of contacts throughout the country. Uh, as a result of that band, the California Checkpoint were focused on the music side of helping veterans. And actually, about 2017, there was a one of our supporters, an educator, that came up to me and said, T-Bone, I've got a group that I want you to talk to. The gentleman's name is Tom Singer. They're based out of St. Clair College in Dayton, Ohio. So that's kind of a ways away. Well, trust me, give him a call and talk to him about his program. It's called the STEM Guitar Building Program. Got in touch with them, and it turns out that they had this program where they would bring in teachers to the college, teach them how to build a guitar, give them the lesson plans for it. The teacher would take it back to the classroom, and STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. They would use that guitar to teach their students math, the whole bit. Uh, and it was it's for them. It's a 1 week project. The teacher comes in and gets trained to become an instructor. We talked about it, and he said, I asked him, why do you think you were asked to contact me? And I said, well, and I told him about our organization, and he said, you know what? You're talking about a veterans guitar project? I said, yeah, well, that sounds like it's an idea. So we talked, and then we decided to go ahead and give it a try. And we had our first guitar build, and that was in 2017. Actually, the whole thing started about 2015. Um, and our first guitar build was at the French Valley Airport in the Murrieta, inside of a hangar. And the veterans that we had were two women veterans and three uh, male veterans. One of them, Jane Householder, she just gotten out, a Black Hawk pilot, two tours in Iraq, and she's 5 foot nothing. And she wanted to become a singer. We were helping her with that project. The other young lady had been was a Navy veteran. Had severe MST, and it took her 10 years to get to the point to where she was at. And she finally decided to do something about what she was going through and join the guitar workshop. Uh, the three gentlemen, one was a Marine. He was a Marine veteran that was in the marching band of the Marine Corps. He got blown up 14 times when he was deployed. I used to, my son, my younger son's brother-in-law, so I knew him from that side. Another Marine had just gotten out that day we started the workshop, and he was going through some PTSD issues, and he came on in. And our third gentleman was a combat vet that had lost his leg, and I believe it was in Fallujah, and part of his arm was really, really messed up. We'd done some work with him before, and we just brought him along. In fact, he actually has a full ride at a college as a disability, as a wheelchair basketball. Um, the young lady that had the MST situation, she's now working with the VA, and she's helping vets there. And Jen Householder went on, became a major in the reserves. She's just recently retired. Darren's still at it. He was our CEO. He's moved on to another project with the Alaska Adventure Project, which is based in Ketchikan, Alaska. And we did some things with them as well. And from that moment, the workshop just kept going. We were receiving grants from the city of Temecula, which paid for part of the money it takes to bring this program on. And we were doing about one a year. And one day I decided, oh, but then the pandemic hit. That PPF was wasn't able to make it through that. They just had to close down, and we actually had a virtual program on guitar building for vets. That was an experience because the veterans, the four vets that were part of the California side, joined up, and they were building a guitar in the kitchen table, on the kitchen table, on the whatever workshop they could put together in the closets and whatever. Um, when we finally got through COVID, they came back with the guitars to complete them because it was quite a project. Uh, I took a trip up to Big Bear a couple of years back and decided to go take a walk over to this Chamber of Commerce. Told them about our program, and I walked out of that co- office with 2 pages of phone numbers. I started contacting people up there, and the city of Big Bear was tremendous in their support. No grants, all private donations. We've had workshops there. With the STEM program itself, we've actually were able to make a couple of workshops up at Edmonds College in Seattle and in the Renters Department. And we had several of the workshops there. And we had instructors from the different STEM groups would come in and help us out. Eventually, one of our participants, a Marine, and what's with the Marines? He uh, he came in, built a guitar, and he was extremely knowledgeable of machinery and programs, and we kept in touch. And he even bought himself a little laser machine and was doing things. And I asked him, "Hey, would you mind trying not to become an instructor?" He did, and he's our first instructor. And because of him, we were able to finally break the ties with STEM. The STEM program at the college was had a grant from the National Science Foundation, which term ended in June of 2023. But the program itself had gotten to the point to where they had created a guitar building instruction network at the college. They still have STEM now. Any college can reach out to them, and they'll have to. It's a pay for program now. As a result of that, we have to still order all our kits from that same group, STEM. The reason it went under is because the director, Tom Singer, retired and nobody picked up the slack, and the grant itself ended. They contacted Tom last year and asked him if he would be interested in applying for another grant. And Tom contacted all of us that had worked with him before, and we put a grant together. And this time we're going to have a veterans program all to its own, as opposed to we came in as under the umbrella of STEM. Now we'll actually have our own program. We submitted that grant application in October last year. It looks really good. And what that'll allow us to do is to take this program to any junior college that has a veterans program in the country. STEM itself was national, and they were able to have instructors from any state except the Dakotas. They were never able to get any instructors from there. So anywhere we go, we have access to those instructors. But I've got some plans to have some of our people. I've got some other volunteers that are now training to become instructors, and hopefully we can attend our own programs and continue as our own group. The program itself, when COVID ended, the Phoenix Patriot Foundation, we became our own nonprofit, American Patriot Music Project. Darren took us, and because we had that music program in place, we were able to continue with music programs. We have a couple of programs where we can teach veterans, and we decided to bring in first responders as well now. We can teach them how to do audio, how to do sound for a band, stage management, marketing, and so on and on. Some of the veterans that we've actually trained are actually getting hired by some of the other sound companies that are in the Southern California area. And that's something that we have in mind. But the biggest, besides the band itself, the Phoenix Patriot Band became the American Patriot um, Band. They're very, very, very good. I was with them for 8 years, but because I relocated to the high desert, they're based out of Temecula. I had to drop out, and they're still going strong. And at every performance, because they're part of the foundation, the band technically doesn't get paid. Any monies that come in from the places the venues they play at, they perform at, we send them a donation letter, so the tax write-off for them. And they're one of the main reasons we're still alive because of the band. They're performing, gosh, everywhere in Southern California. We have actually traveled up to Ketchikan, Alaska with the Alaska Adventure Project. I did some concerts up there when we did the uh, trips to Miami and Daytona, Nashville. We performed out there. It was quite an experience. And the band's still going strong. American Patriot Band is one of our main programs. And in the process of their performances, during the performances, they're constantly talking about the veterans, making the public know what's going on with our veterans even now. They're promoting our foundation. They're always asking uh, any veteran that is willing to go up and perform with them, they'll bring them up. And we've had some incredible musicians with the guitar project itself. We've had a couple of guitar players that have gone up and played with them as well. But primarily is veterans awareness and first responders awareness. Uh, so the band performs. We have in fact, I think you've got the music in that video that you put together. Uh, Madison Rising wrote that song, the national anthem, their version of it. We've taken that and made it our own. So
Yeah, the
American
rock and roll version. Can
and
can I just pause for a second and hold that thought? I just want to say that being that guitar build happened, it has happened at Warrior Built, and we had veterans there, and we actually had 11, right around 8 or 11 vets come in and build the Warrior Built guitar. But I want to say the impact of building such a cool piece of equipment, and it becomes such an American heritage type of deal, that you really don't realize how incredible it is to put your hands on if you're a musician, to play such a cool piece of gear, but to actually build something that is that piece of gear. I mean, I'm not a musician. My son is. He plays like 8 or 9 instruments, but to know what that means, and the mathematical piece, right? STEM and the whole program that came together to get kind of more in, intimate with the whole system, and to kind of take your PTSD in a level of understanding to what it truly means to have this beautiful piece of equipment after you're done building it. And it's hanging at Warrior Built. We have the Warrior Built guitar, and it's just a cool piece of thing that I know I've touched it. I know some other veterans have touched it to have built this thing, and to know what it is, to know the inner parts, to know that it can't travel outside the United States because some of the wood that, it has to have special permission because, there's some things about it that historically it just the background of it. And these things become, for each veteran that's going to build this, it becomes whatever it is to that person. Right. And as you see this happen, and it's from start to finish. I mean, you're welding you're soldering the equipment, the electrical pieces. It's not just like, hey, we're going to put this thing together, and it's no, you're going to cut it the way you want it, sand it the way you want it, paint it the way you want it. There's some super cool processes that take place, and you're touching this, you're building it, you're having this team building exercise. There's so many cool things that go into this, but on top of that, the band is so cool. I mean, I spent time with the band. The band is played at Warrior Built. It's played all over Southern California. These are all veteran playing bands. I know T-Bone's just kind of, skipping around talking about it kind of leisurely, like, hey, we're a cool band, we're doing this, and then we get this is that. But I got to tell you, the impact is really freaking cool. And T-Bone, you got to go back a little bit and tell your history too. I want to hear a little bit about, T-Bone, why you joined the Army and how that went into play. because you got to get to your history a little bit, man. Why are you a veteran still in the fight, man? What is it about you that's still making you go, brother? And what did you do in the army that made it? But hey, continue your thoughts. But those are some of the things that are on my mind, and I just want the audience to understand and why it's so important for our veterans to get out there and build these things. And you're talking about a whole semester for somebody who's going to build this guitar and learn the mathematics of it. It's a semester deal, if I'm not mistaken, when they're doing the STEM class. Yeah, for the instructor to come in and do it, it's a week-long class for them to be an instructor, if I'm not mistaken. But for when they're teaching this guitar and they're actually going to build a guitar in the classroom for this purpose of the STEM mathematical deal, it's a semester. For us as veterans, it's 3 days, 3 or 4 day build. We're going to do a 3-day build in April. You know, if you want to help sponsor something like that, if you want to be a sponsor of this, please get a hold of us. You know, you could do it through my podcast. You can reach out, but we're going to talk about that too. But, you know, just some of that stuff. But T-Bone, go ahead, continue on, brother. But tell your story. I want to hear your story too, brother.
Okay, well, before we go to that, appreciate the reaction. I really do. That means a lot to me. While we're working with the reason for the project itself is a lot of veterans. Well, you know, I'm a Vietnam era vet, and I was very fortunate enough to be sent to Nam. But I did see 2 weeks of some garbage when I was stationed overseas in Panama. Noriega was there he was number 2 when I was there. He was already starting some problems and got into a situation that never happened. They sent in paperwork and all that. Uh, and it gave me a taste of what it is to see combat. It gave me a taste of what our veterans that go through combat, what they've gone through. I mean, I was with Darren being a Navy SEAL, and I asked him how do you handle uh, not getting into severe PTSD? He has it though. He does have it. I can see it, and only because it takes a combat vet to really recognize that re- action that veterans have. And he told me, you know, T-Bone, we train how to defrag. We train how to come off, you know, after we do a mission. And I said, you guys don't. You know, Friday you're in combat, and Monday you're at the coffee shop at home. You know, and being a Vietnam era vet, I went through that. You know, I got called names, I got bottles thrown at me, called baby killer, and we had a parade. I think it was 20 years later, and then I think it was Laguna Beach where they did the welcome home vets parades and stuff, and then they started coming out of the woodwork and marching in a parade where actually they're getting welcome back. And I always make it a point, any veteran, welcome home, because it was an interesting time when I got out, you know, and I remember I had the patch torn off my uniform and said, "Go home. That's it. Get out of here. No defragging. No, I didn't even know you could file for unemployment. I just went home." And in the process of this workshop, we're talking with veterans. We're looking to see where they're at, especially the younger kids. I call them because you know they're just coming out of Afghanistan and Iraq and Somalia, and I'm talking to some guys that have gone through stuff that never happened. And in the process, we're trying to see where they're at. We always ask them. We'll ask you because I understand you're going to be building a guitar too. Do you want to bring anybody with you? Cousin, wife, husband, you know, whatever, depending on the situation. We'll ask the veteran how you're doing with, especially if I know they've gone through combat. How you doing with your PTSD? And then, you know, yeah, I'm okay. I'll ask the wife, I'll ask the son, the daughter, how they doing? They tell me he's doing okay, you know. And then we start looking and see how they're doing. We had a Vietnam vet that was in the C-141. He was unloading. He was in Vietnam. Then they got mortared, and he got thrown up against the wall of the airplane, severely injured his head. As a result, he's been disabled since Vietnam, and I mean severe shakes. You know, has a hard time sometimes talking. And we asked him. He was one of the veterans up in Big Bear that came along to build a guitar. He heard about it, and he said, "Well, listen, I have some problems with my hands. They're shaking. Can I bring someone to help me?" I said, "Oh, you bet. Bring whoever. We'll work as a team. We'll guide you." That assistant never touched his guitar. He built it himself. Once he saw what it was, I'm building this. It's about uh, word. This is something that's been given to me as a thank you for my service. And when he was doing the soldering, we were watching because he was literally like he built it himself. The pride. Once you started to see the logos that we lasered onto his guitar, uh, and it became his personal uh, project, if you will. Uh, Along with that, the camaraderie. We're back to talking with as veterans. You because of your foundation, you always have guys talking up in the conference room. You can the way veterans talk to each other. Uh, but a lot of Vietnam vets and a lot of guys and gals that get out of service never go back into that, and you need that. And I found that out right away when I started doing these workshops. It was good to talk Army. It was good to harass the Marine. We don't have enough crayons. I mean, it was, and that's all
Yeah.
part of it.
Hold on, T-Bone. I got JB on deck. JB's my co-host. He's gonna jump in real quick. JB, how you doing? Coast Guard vet,
Good.
chef JB, world renowned chef, and good to see you, brother. Welcome and
Yeah.
nice. Hey, this is T-Bone.
I don't know.
Hi, T-Bone.
Coasting, huh?
Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah,
welcome
I've been
aboard.
hearing him
Welcome
talk
aboard,
for
brother.
a few minutes. So, yeah, I'm an
Yeah.
old guy too, T-Bone. I was, I never went to Vietnam. I kind of wanted to save people, so I went in the Coast Guard. And I was on a high endurance cutter headed to Japan when they started to mine Da Nang Harbor. And I was a 50 cal gunner, and
Oh,
I'm like colorblind in greens, so I could see they put those 50-gallon foam cans in the water. They punch a couple holes in them. Takes about 20 minutes to sink unless you are hitting it with the 50 cal. And so they said, all your gunners we're going to send to Vietnam once you get to Japan. So for about 5 days, I was like torn up because I didn't know if I was going to Vietnam or if I was staying on the ship. And then they changed their mind and they said, you need to stay with the ship. You guys are low manned already. So, but yes, back in the 70s, late 60s, early 70s, the baby killers and everybody was, peace and rock and roll and stuff. And you know what? We were regular guys. I mean, it's just the way it was, So it's good to hear your story a little bit, T-Bone. I haven't heard a lot of it, but when you're telling me that, there's guys that got PTSD and got hurt in the military and got the shakes, but when they're making something, they're putting their all into it. And it's the pride that we all had in those days, We were prideful people, and I do a lot of training and young people and workforce development for young adults, and some of them carry that pride, but some of them don't. I'm sure it was that way when we were younger, but it's always good to see people, and especially young people, with some pride and some dignity and some work ethic. That's one of the hardest things that we need to teach them is, show up on time, be clean. One thing about the military, they always made us on time or we paid dearly. They always fed us well, and we always groomed. And if we didn't, the guys would give us a shower, you know,
Yeah.
and and nobody wanted that. Let me tell you, they were not gentle. I never had it happen to me though. I took a shower every day.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey, I just want to say how cool it is that we got, you know, the American Patriot Music Project on deck, the Veterans Transition Resource Center, you know, Warrior Bill Foundation, the PTSD Foundation of America, Recon Chief Incorporated. These are the organizations that, you know, that are on deck with just doing this whole thing right here and being on this podcast, doing this thing. So thanks a lot for making this happen. And T-Bone, you know, go ahead and JB, you got any questions for him, or you got anything right now? Anything else you want to add right now, or you want to save some stuff for the end?
I'll probably save a little bit for the end, but you know, I just want to hear more of his story. You know,
definitely.
Well, appreciate.
He's our guest.
But you know, when they build a guitar, a lot of the veterans, they didn't realize they could do woodwork or design or electronics, and a lot of them can't play the guitar, so we find a place for them to go to learn to play the guitar, and then it opens up doors. We did a guitar build for Mount Jacinto College in Temecula, the Menifee area. Anyway, and we did it as a demonstration to the college because we were trying to bring it at that time into the college program. We talked to a lot of veterans departments. So and all the veterans were teachers from the college, and they all came into the facility that we were using, and I didn't know you were a veteran. I didn't know you were a veteran because they're all educators, so they think you went to college.
Yeah.
And in the process, they just started talking, and our instructor at the time, Scott Robbie, he looked at me and says, "T-Bone, can you get their attention? I'm trying to get this class started." I looked at him and I yelled, "Addie's!" And everybody stopped. One of the lady teachers broke down crying because it had been so long, but it's built in us, you know. And then the program started, and that's the one of the benefits of the workshop is the camaraderie. Because we're mobile, we can have it anywhere. We've had it at wineries. We've had it at Warrior Built. We've had it at private facilities, hangars, and on and on. So if we open it to the public, a lot of people will come in and start talking, especially the Vietnam vets who haven't talked to anybody about their experience in 50 years, 40 years. They'll just start talking with our kids that are coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, and you can see the severe PTSD in some of them, you know. And we have facilities that we can refer them to. Warrior Built PTSD Foundation. We've got some clinicians that we work with that will, upon our recommendations, talk to our veterans. We had a Coastie, actually, a young lady, and she got blown up on a ship. It was some explosion that happened, and she was severely wounded just doing her job as a Coastie, you know. And people don't realize everybody that puts on the uniform goes through some kind of a danger zone at one point or another in their lives. And when I started playing music, I was a young kid. My mom dated a sax player from the James Brown's band. They were called the Famous Flames, and he was a sax player. I was a young kid. I didn't know who these guys were. Chuck Berry, Little Richard, James Brown. I met him, but Little Richard scared the crap out of me. He was a weird man. But I'm 7 years old. I'm meeting these guys, and I would listen to them jam at night, and that music, and just I said, I got to do this, and because of that, I started learning to play the sax. And then I was going to get into the marching band in high school. I went to Belmont High School, and Vietnam was starting. I knew some of my buddies from the neighborhood. They got drafted. Some had already gone to Nam. I'm just 65, And so I decided I joined the ROTC at the moment. And that's probably one of the best decisions I've made. And we come from a tough background, tough neighborhood, drugs, the whole bit, East LA. Uh, but the ROTC made me see the potential that I had, and I really enjoyed the time I was there. Uh, I was really getting ready for the draft because it seems like they were going by neighborhoods, Hispanics and contents. They were getting drafted. And 68, I graduated. I had made some good rank in the ROTC, and they told me, if you join the service, you get extra rank. I said, really? And I figured, well, I'm about to get drafted anyway, so I enlisted. And it gave me idus, whoopee, but it was, I was not even. I tell you what, during formations, though, in the first week, I didn't get as many push-ups as some of the newbies because I already had an idea what left, right, and at ease was. Uh, and I had joined during the ROTC. I had joined the drill teams. I became drill team commander. So in the army, I actually did have a couple of drill teams. So that got me to some time off, for parades and stuff. Um, and that and music. I joined a band just before I went in the military. I joined a band. Some guys, some of the my buddies in high school had this band together. I told them, hey, I play sax. Yeah, so they said, well, we're looking for a sax player. And I asked them for the sheet music, give me a 45. So here it is. I said, where's the sheet? Where's the music? He says, you got it in your hand. So I've been playing by ear ever since, and that's just one of the directions I took. While in the military, I actually had some bands when I was stationed in Panama, uh, because I continued that side of my life. So that and the military really helped me get out of the typical East LA. Look at me and pull me, and the man's trying to get me. They helped me get out of that. Um, so as a result, I stayed in the semi-pro level, and again, I went through it when I was married. I continued to pray. Lots of pictures of my family in the recording studio at 3 o'clock in the morning. But that's just something that's in me. And when I got out of the army, they gave me an early out, 73. So they put me into a National Guard unit, do 1 year National Guard unit, and I was assigned to a unit in West LA. It was right, a couple of blocks from Beverly Hills. And it turns out that was the old uh, National Guard, Cal National Guard. It was I wouldn't admit I was guard because it was the old draft dodgers, if you will, right? I remember I reported to the excuse me, I reported to the unit. The commander told me that I was the first real soldier in the company because I had gotten out of the army. And when I got out, 1 year, my hair was down to here. No, wear a short hair wig to formations. And that was allowed. That's how
Yeah.
crazy. So I got out. And I said, I'm done with this. And then Ronald Reagan took over, made the National Guard to what it was. I missed it. And I asked my wife, what do you think about me joining the California National Guard? She says, what's it going to take? And I told her, she says, okay, well, go ahead. So I did. In 82, 81, 82, got back into the Guard. And it was entirely different. And it was the National Guard as we know it now. These guys were, and a lot of guys from Vietnam had come back and were in the National Guard. So it had become what it is now. In fact, in 82, my first 2 week drill was up at Fort Irwin. We were the bad guys. The 82nd Airborne attacked us, and they lost 12 men. And then they jumped when there was 70-mile-an-hour gusts. So that was my first experience in the National Guard, and I saw more guys get killed there than I did when I was in the military. You know, I stayed in till '89. In my last 2 years, I was Cabo, by the way, so I was always some kind of a radio teletype, something or other. In my last 2 years, I became a chaplain's assistant, and that's where I started really talking to the military of war experiences and counseling. And first 6 months, my unit did not have a chaplain, so I was assigned the acting chaplain. So I was going to officer's call as an E5. You can see these captains and Louis were not happy with me being there, but I was a chaplain. During that time, I started talking to a lot of vets that were having issues from PTSD. I started counseling, and then I became an assistant chaplain, and then continued for another year and a half. And that's where it really um, made me uh, start looking at what the veteran is going through who has gone through combat, what the veteran is going through that has PTSD, not necessarily of combat, but it's still there. PTSD is PTSD. And when I got out, I just remember I would volunteer to counsel because I was involved in my church a lot. And every now and then I talk to a veteran. And then situation with my wife came along. She got cancer and uh, decided to leave our 35 years of marriage the day before our 35th anniversary. Uh, and I was still a musician, and I figured, like, what am I going to do now after she had passed? I was getting back into my regular life. That's when Phoenix Patriot Foundation came along, and now I had the opportunity to really work with veterans. It really, and especially with Darren Isham being a Navy SEAL, a lot of the vets that we were talking to had severe PTSD. We have gone through some real combat, and it's just evolved to where it is now. During the workshops, we have an opportunity to find out where they're at again, and if we see that it's a severe PTSD situation, then we'll refer them out. We had several women that have come into the workshops, um, and I saw the need to recognize our combat vets. They're women. A lot of them were telling me, we saw combat. We go to the groups, and the vets will ask us, "What are you doing here? You're a woman," you know. And so they're fighting a double issue. We had two young ladies up in one of our workshops, a Big Bear. One had been in Iraq during the burns when all the oil fields were being burned up, and she was affected mentally by the smoke. It was severe. Another young lady, female, and they were both in wheelchairs. She got blown up 5 times, and she was just in convoys. And she told me, she said, T-Bone, we feel forgotten. We're women, but we're still veterans. We served, and some of us have seen combat, and we feel like we're forgotten. And we actually had an all women's guitar build in Temecula, and one of our ladies was a captain from the Marine units in Pendleton. She came over and built her guitar. She was 16 years old, but she was an officer. Uh, when we complete these projects, if they don't know how to how to play the guitar, we're now connecting with the vet centers throughout Southern California, and they have a program called Guitars for Vets. We'll attach them to them. They have a 10-week course where they learn to play the guitar, and they get the acoustic guitar and they get to keep it at the end. But now they know how to play the guitar. Now they can play their own guitar. A lot of the veterans will build a guitar for buildings for myself, but they always make sure they put the logo of the units on there. Navy always has some ship. Marine always have, some combat unit. Uh, and on and on and on. And their coasties, they'll put their ships on there too. And it's really cool to see that pride. I made this, you know. And now we're going to ask you, come back and help. Come back and mentor other veterans. And it reminds me of my first day in basic training, and I saw that basic training soldier that had been in already 4 or 5 weeks. And uniforms were already not as green; they were faded. The caps they wore a certain way, and we talked to him. What's it like, man? What's it like? He says, "You'll get to see it, man. Just be cool. Remember this, remember that. This is what this feels like when our um, workshop participants that have finished the class come back and help, because a lot of the veterans, they don't know what they're doing. Well, I've never held an instrument. I've never done a workshop. We had one veteran up at Edmonds College, Vietnam vet. He'd been homeless because of his PTSD, but he was trying to get his life back in order. And he told us, frankly, I can't touch any equipment. I said, I just can't. I still have the shakes. So we guided him through it. We held his hands as he was working the routers and such. And the following day, he was on his own. We had one of our veterans. He was an Air Force and Army vet. One of those confused people, real psychological problems. And he brought his 12-year-old son with him. And I told our instructor, we've got an extra kid. So we asked him, hey, you mind if your son builds his own guitar? And he said, you know what? All the boot camp that he's gone through, yeah, it'd be good for him. He was teaching our vets the second day how to work some of the equipment, and then he built his own guitar. So and family, we gave him an interview. In fact, he was on ABC News station up there. They interviewed him and they asked him, what was it like working with all these veterans? He said, well, at first I was a little scared. I didn't know except what my dad was like, but they're all nice guys and nice ladies, and they work together. They worked as a team, and that was so crucial for a young man who's ever experienced it like that to tell us that. The first workshop that we had, our instructor, a professor, was not a veteran, and that first second day he steps back. He says, Timo, I'm really impressed just how all these different uh, units, Army, Marines, Navy, work together as a team. And I told him, that's how we're built, sir. That's what a veteran is. But you've never seen us in a bar, so that's a different animal right altogether. But that's the whole idea behind it. And the workshop itself, now, gosh, we're going to our 11th, 12th. Um, and the good thing about it is that every participant, we've worked with that person individually, one on one. We've seen to where they're at. Um, we've helped a couple of veterans go to counseling. We helped a couple of veterans become musicians on their own right. Um, and that is the reason I'm still doing it, because I'm not only am I a counselor now, I can actually do something about helping veterans that are still trying to figure out what am I going to do. We had a young man. I think he'd been in Fallujah, Marine, severe shakes, couldn't sit still. Um, and every time there was a pause, he'd get out and walk around. And I finally talked to him, how you doing? He goes, I need to keep busy. He bought a fixer-upper at Big Bear just to keep busy, because he says, I can't sit down. It's just the way things are from after combat. So we referred him to the Alaska Adventure Project. And, they take him up there for a week, and they'll take him on the bush, fishing, hunting. And they're always talking to him. They're counseling him. I remember the last day they have bonfire, and to see these grown men break down the way they do, and let it out. It's it's an experience that not too many people have the fortune of being part of. It's because they open up, they let go, and you can just see that. Ah, finally, I can let this thing go. They'll One of the best compliments that we get is I couldn't think of anything about this guitar for the last 3 days. And I will tell them, so you have a hard time with PTSD, don't you? So, yeah. But yet we're able to not think about that for 3 days. He goes, yeah, that's right. See, so there is a way out of that, that box of demons that you still have. Uh, and those are the rewards that we see. The wife, the son, the brother-in-law, the uncle gets to see that individual in that camaraderie veterans situation. Says, oh, now I understand we're always making fun of the Navy, or whatever. And they get to they see their individual family member in a light that not too many people get to see outside of the veterans community, and that's part of it. Where we get we get the community involved. In Big Bear, the American Legion post up there, Jim Lona was the commander at the time, and a Marine, you know, and they were trying to get rid of that uh, idea that the American Legion's veterans, VFWs, a bunch of old guys talking war and getting drunk. Says that we wanted to see have the community see us for what we really are, and because of that, we have had 4 workshops up there. And this is all private donations, no grants. The city opened up for us. They provided funds right away. Community got involved. Elks lodges, people are coming by and hey, you guys are veterans. Thank you so much for what you've done. We had a young lady last year. She's a country singer, Pete and Howie. She's up in Nashville, Texas, coming up. You'll be hearing about her. She opened up for our band about 5 years ago, 19 years old, young lady. And she called me up and says, hey, I heard about your program on Facebook. I'm a musician. I would love to come and open up for the band. And we were doing a winery, so it was be an acoustic. She came in, opened up, and we were just wowed by this young lady. She was amazing. But she's now a rising country singer. But she told me, T-Bone, if there's any way I can ever build a guitar with your veterans, let me know. And she took time off last year in July from her touring, came in, built her guitar, and did a concert for us up in Big Bear. And and she wasn't there for her. She was literally there for the veterans. She had a couple of concerts, and now she's playing for 20,000 people, 30 people. And she tells them, I know this organization called the American Patriot Music Project, and the veterans are terrific, and that's what we need. Um, I guess it was maybe around the late 90s, early 2000s. I heard about some veterans coming back from, I should say, the 2000s coming back from Iraq that actually did face some problems because they were in uniform at the mall. And idiots, they go back to the during the Vietnam era type of thinking. And those are the things that we make sure that the public is aware. You know, 23 a day gone. But actually, we're losing. I think I heard an article about veterans. We're losing 3,000 a week. Veterans. People don't realize that, and a lot of them are unfortunately going through some hard times that they never got out of. And again, it's because of the PTSD or whatever, the drugs, and they get into the alcohol and on and on and on. And we'll reach out to these people. So the workshop itself, we try and bring them back. I've got, like I said, our first official instructor. He was a participant. Now he's our instructor. I got 2 others that are training to become instructors as well. And I believe, yeah, one's a Marine and Army. Finally got Army in there. But and that was a young lady that said, Tibo, how come you don't have any women instructors? Okay, well, now she's learned to become an instructor.
Nice. Hey, T-Bone, we just want to wrap this up a little bit, but feel free to give out any last information that they want to get, that you want to give, if they want to get a hold of you. And then I want to just give JB just a little bit of time just to put out some information, and then we can wrap this up. But I would love to bring you back on. I know we're probably going to do another segment of this, especially when we're doing the guitar build. And if you want to donate, like I said, if you want to help this process out, or any of these programs that we're working on, we got a bunch of programs, but this guitar build in particular, hit me up on this podcast, hit me up anytime. You know how to get a hold of me through all kinds of different ways and channels, but you can hit T-Bone up. T-Bone, feel free to any last words and any way to get a hold of you, anything you want to put out for that.
Okay, well, our website is AmericanPatriotMusic.org. My email address is Tony@AmericanPatriotMusic.org. We have a Facebook page, Instagram, and all that other stuff that I'm still trying to figure out. Um, and the band itself is still very active. They're performing throughout Southern California. And if ever you're in the Temecula area, you have a chance to hear these guys. They're one great group. We're always available. Donations, donations, donations. This is not a workshop is not cheap. It's about $10,000 per workshop. We now are in our 12th. So imagine donations of grants and people just coming in, and what our band has done to keep the donations coming in. If you want to sponsor a veteran, just give me a call. We'll let you know how you can take care of that. And again, we are PayPal if you want to donate. Personal checks. We don't take EBT, but we'll take anything else. That's pretty much
There
it.
you go.
Hey, thanks, T-Bone. I appreciate it. AJB, I know you got a couple things you want to pass around. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. Gee, thanks to T-Bone. What a great program. I mean,
Definitely.
we eat, we do music, we do camaraderie. I mean, what a better way to go than that? Our northern office, Denise Davies, she's putting together a big gala for heroes next.
This is the Veterans Transition Resource Center.
North,
North. Yep.
And she's putting together like a James Bond night with a poker tournament, bands. It's supposed to be a weekend thing. Gee, how long does it take to build a guitar? Maybe we can talk to these guys.
It's going to be a 3 to 4 day build usually. Yeah, but it's 3 days. We're doing it April 10th, 11th, and 12th at the Warrior Built facility in Southern California. Yeah.
Well, we might have to think about maybe doing something up there in the fall if they've got an open date. I think I like the idea. I really do. I think
yeah, it's a huge project. They do some really incredible things. We'll have to work with them and see about that.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. And as far as Chef JB, I'm still working with St. Jude's Ranch and putting together, youth, young adults, workforce development, trying to teach them how to be in the workforce for today. And that is challenging in a lot of aspects, but you know what? We got a new class in the other day, a couple weeks ago, and there was 12 of them, and 10 of them have made it. Usually we lose about half the first couple weeks, and 10 of them have made it, and they're really great young adults. I mean, they listen, they want to be, in workforce development, they want to get a job, they want to, their foster care program starts from 18 to 22. And a lot of them have been foster kids for a lot of years. So it's good that we're finally putting some things together and helping there where we can. We also had a food drive last Saturday, and all the food that wasn't given out at the food drive went to Henderson Elks, who sponsors 4 at-risk schools in the Henderson area. And they actually help feed these at-risk schools. So it was great to give them, we donated them probably about 50 or 60 boxes of food to give to the schools. So we're cranking right along, it's it's, finally I get to be on a show. I've had some time. I'm off and running again. Yeah. Well, I'm like you, you want something done, you give it to a busy person. But I really like T-Bone today. A lot of what he said I could really relate to. Early 70s, the different lifestyles, the different things that didn't bring combat veterans or veterans out that much. Now it's starting to be more and more so that we're finding each other, especially through podcasts like our own, where we can hear hope, we can hear a way out, and we can hear a positivity about overcoming stigmas and personal PTSD or anything, alcoholism, drug addiction. I mean, it almost encompasses everything. It's together we're stronger.
You're right, JB. I know we got to wrap it up, but any last words?
No, I just together everyone achieves more. Team, and as the team, we can do that, and that's why I love you, my brother, because we're a team.
We are. Hey, thanks for being on the show again today, and it's good to see you. It's good to have you and hear what you're doing. I appreciate you, brother. Hey, this is Combat Vet Vision. This is a place where we get to come together and we get to talk about some incredible things. We get to share some incredible camaraderie. There's some incredible people out there doing some incredible stuff, and our veterans that still are out there in the fight doing stuff. JB, T-Bone, these are my vet brothers that are still in it every day, doing something that's in the community. And we're all doing different things at different times. But when we come together and we get to be on the show, and we get to kind of bring it out to the public. We get to bring it out to the vets. We get to bring it out to the sponsor supporters. The first responders get to hear about it too. The families, it's such an important factor. And just get the word out there, and to hear about the guitar build and the different things that are going on. It's just an incredible thing. So until next time, strength and honor out.
Yep. Bon appetit.
The only way, and we need nothing more. The only way, together forever, that's for sure.